So tell me, Cam, what inspired you to leap into the world of being a business owner? How did you turn what I believe was a passion that got maybe modeled around across different passions that you had, and then like what made you leap into being a business owner and opening your own cafe?
I think a big part of it was the influence that I had and was seeing people that in some ways were similar to me and had similar journeys and had similar things to offer and being influenced by them and having the opportunity to take what I was doing while working for them and be able to have more control over it, be able to change things and feel like what I'm doing in their businesses, I can change that and make it more my style. And I quite like to change things very often. So it's having that opportunity to, whenever I want to make a decision, I can do that, provided the staff are comfortable with that. And I think it was just about the freedom and the opportunity and believing it was probably time to have a crack at it. Because I've gotten to the age now where I think I can't keep working for other people. And if I want to really do something for myself, I'm going to take a risk. I'm pretty impulsive in pretty much everything I do in life. So I thought I'll take the risk and I'll jump out and do it by any means and work it out. And it's been fun. I'm glad I made that decision.
No, that's amazing. Because yeah, actually, I was hearing a story about a pencil factory. I think maybe in Germany or something like that. And there was this factory of people, a lot of workers, like this massive factory. And then someone was saying like, why shouldn't you give the people that are making the pencils, the workers in the factory, some of the earnings because you pay them so little compared to how many millions or billions the big pencil factory is making? And the answer to that question was, well, no, that's like it's not possible. The reason that the owners are getting all the benefits in regards of the all the revenue is because the workers don't have risk in regards of if the company goes bust and they go in red numbers, then what's going to happen? All the workers leave and get another job, and within some weeks after they get another job, that's it. The other person that's taking the risk goes bankrupt. They are carrying all of the risk for that company. And at the same time, on the opposite, because they have that risk, they are getting all the benefits in regards of the all the big revenues and stuff. So the workers obviously cannot get that because they don't have that risk. So all the companies, all the owners of the companies get that revenue. And I feel like is that a little bit how you feel in regards that now you're taking a lot of risk, but then you can reap the benefits?
I think in some ways, I imagine people that own a pencil factory in this sort of situation where they take all the reward, they probably operate on a different sort of term of ethics that I do. I like the idea that if I'm being rewarded, if we're successful, we're making a lot of money. I want the people that work here to be rewarded as well. So making sure that we can pay them a bit above award wage so that they can be comfortable because it's pretty tough out there. And making sure that they're taking holidays, and of course that I am as well. But in the early days, it's more about building a staff culture because they're the ones that are going to keep this business going. Because I can be here 70 hours a week, but I can't run the show by myself. I'm always going to need them there. And they don't so much have a risk beyond the point that if this place fails, they do need to get another job. But the risk was something that I kind of tried to disassociate from because risk is putting like negativity into your mind. And I didn't want to see a world where this would fail. And I refused to do it to a certain point that I think it's been helpful in the success that we're building towards.
No, I like that. One time, I remember when I went through a stage where I started my business, the moment that I started it, and I had this vision, this goal of making my business, Pink Donkey, which is video and photography for businesses, to make it successful and for it to be my sole income for my family. I wanted that. And at the time, I was doing it part time, and I took a part time job as a barista
Oh yeah.
back where I used to
Should get you
work.
back in here.
Yeah, back to where I used to work before I went to another role in marketing. And then the plan was that I was gonna work 3 days a week for Pink Donkey, and then 3 days a week for the cafe. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, which is the busiest hours, and then having Monday off or one day off, depending which one, and then the other 3 days working for Pink Donkey. And then eventually that way I could cover the bills with those 3 days of hospitality, because those 3 days on busy weekends, especially at a big hotel I was working at, you get opportunity to work 10 hours or 11 hours if you want to. They always want staff if you want to work that. So on a casual rate, you make some good cash out of that. So with 3 days, I could cover the bills and then little by little build up the business. And I remember going back to the workplace, and one of the ladies that used to work there before with me, we were talking about this, and I was saying that this was my plan. And then she told me like, oh, great. She said, but what's your plan B if your Pink Donkey business doesn't work out? What's your plan B? And I said to her, there's no plan B. There's only a plan A. She's like, really? And I said, no, but really, like, if it doesn't work out, what are you gonna do? And I said, there's no plan B. It's just plan A. It is going to work out, and that's my plan A. And I heard that once someone that's really famous and really successful said that, because they said that having a plan B is not having full 1000% confidence on your plan A. Having a plan B or even a plan C, it gives you like room for your confidence that plan A will fail. So just focusing on full confidence of that plan A can lead you, well, in my opinion, not having the plan B leads you to that plan A to be successful. Or if it doesn't work out, but at least you have full confidence on one, you are not doubting yourself, and then you can work out another option. Because sometimes things don't work out the way you want. They can change, but having that full confidence, I feel like it gives you that certainty. Do you think that with your business you've had the same
Yeah, I
sort
think I
of
took a similar
plan A?
approach to it, that there was no room on the paper for that to be a possibility in any way.
Let's talk about when a challenge becomes an opportunity, and perhaps if you got an experience. For me, for example, I used to work full time, and I had a full time role, and one day the company closed down and I lost my role. I was made redundant. And at the time, seen it as a massive, like, negative thing for my life. And I didn't realize that that was a blessing in disguise, that led me into then giving me the push to open the business. Have you had an experience like a challenge that you thought it was something maybe not great and that led you to come here?
I think so. I spent a lot of time in Melbourne and a lot of time in hospitality around there and in different venues, learning different skills and working with different people and learning as much as I could from there. But there also came from some of those businesses came some bad habits, so abuse of certain things, substances and alcohol, and losing control of that. And at some point, coming to a stage in my life where a good friend of mine had recommended. He said, I think it's time you take some time away from hospitality," which is really hard to hear because that's where all my passion lies, which is what's brought us to being here today. But having to take that recommendation, and I respected it enough to act on it and to walk away and to go and work in a factory, and then to find, going about a day to day, doing a 9 to 5, and in something that I wasn't passionate about. There was no interaction with people. There was no creativity. It was walking up and down aisles, and to try and overcome what I'd put myself through and to be able to be strong enough to get a handle on that and to have my close friends be confident enough to say, it's time that you can go back and reintroduce yourself into that industry, but be sensible about it. Take a better approach, grow up. But that was quite challenging, having to basically lose something that you're so passionate about.
Yeah, and that going to that factory and experiencing that, I feel like was probably one of the best things that could have happened to you because it made you appreciate
Yeah.
what you had before, and it made you realize that when you are doing that type of job for a long time, you can feel really trapped, especially when you are a creative person. Because for what I know you, I can sense that you are a creative person, like artistic person. Like you haven't told me this, but I have a great feeling that you love arts like music and creativity and yeah, just painting perhaps something like that. Like you can feel it, and when you see the creativity that you put into your dishes, I feel like that's a way to express yourself. And for people that are creative, which I am also one person like that, when you don't have an escape to put that creativity and hands-on actually express that creativity for a long time, like for example when you were in the factory, you feel like you almost don't have purpose because it feels it's terribly hard. I used to work like that in an office where I used to work like a 9 to 5 job for a year before I started my business. And I used to work in an office where I was underground, and like it was like underground, I mean like below ground level from in a building without windows. And we used to work in the office all day. There was no, I mean, besides going to the lunchroom, which was also no windows in it, there was really no purpose really to go outside besides working in your computer. So for someone like me that one, I like being creative and hands-on doing things. I also love the outdoors and the natural light. I felt really trapped. I almost compare myself to feeling like a wild animal in a cage and just looking at the wild outside and just feeling like that. Y- you've had that experience probably with your creativity being locked down in that experience, right?
Yeah, I think not having a creative outlet is it's definitely a way to feel very trapped. I think it's really important. This what we do here, like all of our food, any drinks, even the conversation that we have with people, it's an art in its own way. The food especially, because the way we present a dish, the way that we mash flavors together, the way we take elements of different cultures and different cuisines and put them together into something that probably wouldn't make a lot of sense until you sit down and you eat it, or if you've experienced that sort of stuff at other restaurants. But that's our art, and being able to photograph that, put it online for other people to enjoy it that way, and to just visually look over it and be able to experience what it could taste like. It's pretty fun to be able to do.
Yeah, that's amazing. And that's one thing that I would love to talk, which is about the innovation and the creativity when it comes to food. Personally, for me, the topic of food and just the culture of food, it is probably I had to put it on number one of the things that I love the most in this planet. Is eating and food and what food means for people and for myself. Just eating in general, food and the creations that can be done with elements. And when you get the opportunity to travel like you have, and you realize that you almost feel like you're in two different planets. The things that people eat in other countries are completely different. I mean, there's obviously the basic ingredients like, meat, rice. A lot of cultures use the same, but the way that they combine the things that they get from the land and the spices and the creativity of the dishes, that is just something that I just love. Actually, when I travel, I don't know if that happens to you too. When I travel, my number one for experiencing on my list and almost highlighted if I could on if I was doing a list would be the food experiences. Do you feel like that with
Very
the
much the
process?
same. Yeah, I that's probably the primary reason I travel is for food, and that also helps a lot with picking destinations. So I went to last year. I went to America, and one of my conditions of going to America was that I got to go to Mexico, and I picked Oaxaca, which is an area in Mexico that is known for its kind of traditional and unwhitewashed food.
Viva
Food is the
Mexico.
way that, yeah, it's the way that they have it, and it's influenced by all their little cultures. And it's like the ingredients that they have, some things I'd never heard of. Them, the fact that they're cooking and flavoring stocks with avocado leaves, that's not something I was familiar with because we just don't access that sort of thing. And the varieties they have of avocados. But the way that they do food and compare it to the way we do it back home, so you are experiencing both worlds. It was great. But yeah, I always travel for food and for drinks as well. That becomes part of it. It's definitely the primary part.
No, that's fantastic. And yeah, because I come from a culture from Mexico that the variety of the food and dishes that you can find there is extremely extensive and dates back to like I don't know how many thousands of years from, the Aztecs and everything. Like a lot of those dishes, that is a very old culture, have carried on to today, as you probably experience. A lot of people ask me like, what is Mexican food? And I always actually struggle to even describe it in a sentence because I feel like I could sit here and talk to you about a thousand different dishes and variations of dishes that I have tried over there and recipes and everything that they feel like it's just like one thing, which is like the kind of like the Tex-Mex style food that it became really popular in a culture like this, and it's branded as Mexican food. And for me, when I came here to Australia, I found that that was the conception. I'm coming here as a Mexican, especially here to a small area, like rural area like here. There's not that much contact with other cultures because there's not many immigrants here. It's a majority of it is just Australian based, not direct like in Australia. I mean like their roots come from Australian generations, not many immigrants. So coming here, I remember the first time that I cooked like real Mexican food in regards of like made by me with like some recipe that my mom or my grandma passed me to like my wife and her family. For them, it was like opening the world of a open the door to a whole new world that they didn't even know they have existed. They've never traveled to South America or Mexico, and the way that that changed even their lives from there onwards was amazing. And even the relationship with my wife began with based on food experiences that we shared together and experienced. And I remember going to her apartment and I opened the door to the cabinet and she had all these like old El Paso
Oh no.
food that is, quite common that people have like a Mexican night and they
Yeah.
have the old El Paso.
Well, I grew up on that stuff.
And I remember walking into her apartment and I honestly said to her, I said, look, I'm really sorry. I'm gonna have to grab all of that and throw it in the bin right now. And she was like, why? Why? And I said, I'm sorry, if I'm gonna be coming here, stay on the weekends, maybe even moving in because we're talking about doing those things. I said, can pass on anything else, but I'm not gonna have that food here. I'm not saying that it's not nice. Like I ate it. I think it's more like the fact that it's like branded as like this is the Mexican food
Yeah.
and it has nothing to do with that. People don't realize that in Mexico you cannot even find minced tacos from the region where I'm from in the center of Mexico near Mexico City. You don't even you cannot even buy nachos or burritos in there. Like
Yeah.
actually the first time I tried a burrito was in America, like when I was like 22 years old or something. And people think like, what do you mean, So I think bringing that and just bringing that to my family and even friends and everything, it's a great thing. I was reading about it. It's called culture blending. You bring in another culture and you are blending it with the Australian culture because you're showing them that. And I think with you, the fact that you have traveled and you have created all those memories and all those experiences, now you are able to offer these to the people here in this town, and
It's
it
another
must
way
feel
of
amazing.
sharing our travels besides just the stories that we tell. because we can go over there and build relationships with people and get recipes from them and bring that home and give people a slice of what it's like over there. And we may change the recipe slightly to suit the palate of the people that we're serving. I think it's an element of that trip that they can enjoy with us, which is really good to share.
I heard a little story the other day, and there was this mother asking someone in like a conference something, and they asked like, "Oh, I have my sons about to go to college, and in America, you know how they go to college and they go to the different states and they live in um the houses, how they call it, like the fraternities or something, and they do all the parties, you know, like all the movies, but it's actually real. They just like, you know, live away from home and they do whatever they want over there away from the parents for like 4 years, and they pretty much get like drunk like I think a week, and then they go through school just like a as a pass by, just as a just a yeah as a it's like thing that they're doing.
Sounds a bit like my early 20s.
Yeah, exactly. And I said like, oh, what do you recommend? So when he goes, he doesn't like get off control and say everything. And the guy actually said like, I honestly feel like it would be more beneficial for your son that that money that you are investing on college for him to do that, that he instead does a huge travel around the world with all that money. He said, I reckon that he will learn more for his life and his future and everything to do a big trip than being for 4 years stuck with a like a bunch of kids there drinking every day, and pretty much uni becomes just like a thing that you do, but that you almost don't care because it's so important. The social aspect is so important, the drinking and the partying and everything, and you just go through uni because that's what you do. That way, it's like your justification for being able to party is that you still do uni, so you start partying, you start doing that. So that recommendation that they were giving, and I actually did think that. I think that traveling gives you like how much does travel give you just in regards of experiences, people like
The
grow.
exposure to other cultures is huge to see that people live differently to us because we can be quite insular here in Australia because we're so far away from everybody else. And we can believe that everybody, not everybody does, but some people believe that this is the only real way for us to experience the world, and that our difference becomes going to different states and meeting other people that have been overseas. But to go over there and really immerse yourself in that, and to feel uncomfortable and to not understand language it's a great opportunity. I think you really can learn a lot, not to discredit what a qualification you can get from university and the opportunities that can offer. But I think travel is important. And if I were to recommend one thing to anybody in the world, it's probably come to this cafe. And the second would be to travel overseas.
No, that is fantastic. Wanted to talk a little bit about if someone is listening right now about business in regards of there is people that are working for someone else at the moment, obviously, always. And there is some different kinds of people. So there is the one person that is really has a passion that they want to follow and a dream, and they're doing that already. So that's one kind of person. Then there is another kind of person that has a passion and has a dream and a goal and is working for someone else and is not actioning it. And then there is another type of person that is just working for someone else and they're just comfortable and happy with that, and they just don't have that, like when you talk to them, it's like they just, I'm happy the way it is, I work for someone else and that's it. And I think, in my opinion, the middle group is the one that is having it the hardest, because they are the ones that, which, and you maybe experienced this when you were working for someone else, you always knew that there was something inside you more than the everyday 9 to 5 working for someone else. You always feel it inside and you don't action it. There is, well, in my case, but I feel like in the case for a lot of people, you don't action it. You put excuses. You don't do it as a priority. And one thing that I can say about that is that I recently was at a business seminar, and the person running the seminar was saying, like, you want to run your own business, you have to at least expect to be working 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
And that is the minimum that I will honestly like say to people right now, that you must dedicate. And then from there, perhaps more. If you think that you're gonna start a business and you're gonna be working less than 12 hours, like you're in dreamland. That's not gonna be the case. Because you go from, sometimes you go for this quote, I love that, say you go from working Monday to Friday 9 to 5 to do a business to start working 24/7. You start working a lot. So when you have people that have that drive and passion to be able to do their goals, I feel like they have to stop going on music festivals. They have to stop going on all these things that they are spending their time and their money and their resources in all these little experiences, and spending X amount of hundreds of dollars at a bar and X and that, buying this expensive thing. And they just like burning through all that money, where in reality, they start putting on doing sacrifices, saving that money, that will give you a start on being able to start building your dream even as a side hustle. Like, do you think that that's something that you did with in regards to sacrifices to be able to action that passion?
I think to get myself to the point where I could, scrounge together enough money to open a business, I definitely had to make a lot of sacrifices. There were a lot of things I had to get comfortable with sacrificing. I was never really one to go to a lot of music festivals, so that wasn't too much of an issue there. But I was one that would definitely spend a little bit too much on going out to eat. Those things were all experiences. I was able to take away from that and learn from it, but I had to realize that they couldn't happen all the time.
When you are starting to follow that passion, and perhaps as a side hustle, which is very possible, because you have 24 hours a day in your day, you obviously sleep for 8 hours, and then you work for
8 hours would be lovely. I wish I could get that still.
yeah, it's the same. But going around the average of what a person sleeps, and then you work, and then let's say even if it's 8, which is like a lot for us, maybe 6 or something like that, if I'm lucky. But you work around the 8 and 16 hours. Like, you have how many? That's another 8 hours a day, no? That's another 8 hours a day that, give or take, little things that you actually have to do, like eat and doing like that. Every day you have a amount of hours that are disposable for you to be able to work in your passion and your side hustle. Won't be making money maybe straight away, but as you start building and working hard, you start doing that. I started with sacrifices too. I don't know if you can tell, but I was a massive party boy. I was always the life of the party, drinking, going out, like always. And suddenly I decided to sacrifice and stop going away on weekends, stop with drinking and going out to the pub and spending hundreds of dollars, saving money, because I knew that by saving money, I could start my business. In regards of, at first, if I didn't have clients for a little bit, or I had a little bit of a quiet period, to be able to have those savings was essential. It still is, but at the beginning, even more. Because otherwise, if you cannot pay your bills and you don't have savings and it's quiet, then you can then keep going with your business. So having those savings. So I've always had, one of my dreams was to go to see the Formula One in Melbourne for the weekend.
Yeah.
It was my
You
dream.
fulfilled that dream?
No, because now I don't have that dream anymore. Now my dream is just to keep growing my business, and I'm living my dream. So going to the Melbourne to Melbourne to see the Formula One. It's completely off the cards for me because I turned my passion now for those type of dreams. Now it's to see like what gives me that pleasure now is to see my business succeed. Like I still do experiences like going on holidays with my family and stuff because I love traveling and everything. But those type of things, I think the priority of the things that I do, like recently, my favorite band, which is Blink 182, from when I was growing up. Why you're
You were
laughing?
a party boy, weren't
Yeah, yeah. So Blink 182, I used to be in a band, play their songs like
you?
in when I was in high school and everything. Like my favorite band, and then they the band broke up, and then like things happened or anything, and they just recently decided they wanted to go back together and do a world tour and come back to Australia. And I thought it would be amazing for me to go and see them. They're coming here to Sydney, I think in February, and the tickets got released, and I don't go to many concerts or at all even because of these reasons that I am sacrificing those things to inject it into my business and maybe buy a better light or a better camera to grow the level of service that I offer. And at the same time, there was a business seminar that I could buy tickets for or see in the band. And my wife said like, you want to go to the concert, but obviously like spending on the business seminar is too expensive and like to do both. And I 100% I was like, I'm not doing the concert, I'm doing the business seminar. And I did the business seminar in September for 4 days. That was a business seminar that I went in Sydney to 4 days. And what I got out of that for probably a similar money that I could have spent it on the concert with the tickets and I mean, this was 4 days, but the ticket wasn't like super expensive. It was like $700 for 4 days. And then your meals and everything, maybe more, no? But what I got from that business seminar for my business, for my life, for my growth, compared to what you get in 2 hours of listening to some great music, it's like completely the balance is just massive. So yeah, I think you gotta sacrifice and you have to work hard. What could you say to someone right now that is thinking, I have that drive and they are not actioning it?
I think in order to kind of realize your goals, you do have to make some sacrifices. But one thing that I've found important through the struggle of the first 6 to 8 months of having the doors open, and probably 6 months beyond that, of making all those sacrifices so that I could have this place open and it could operate the way that it does. It was really important to not sacrifice everything. Was that I needed to take time still to spend time away from this and try my hardest. It's very difficult, but to not think about the place, just to free your mind and to go and do things I enjoy, eat meals, be with people I love. I think that was something that made me operate the business better. So you, of course, give some things up, be sensible, but don't lose everything, because then you start to lose a part of yourself. Once you lose yourself, you're going to lose the reasons as to why you're doing what you're doing. Once the passion goes, everything kind of just drizzles out.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because what I found was when as my because I've had my business for over 5 years now. I feel like a lot of the hobbies that I used to have, little by little, I started doing them less and less. And I haven't completely stopped doing, like I said, things like that are for not for business. So like I said, I got a young family with a 5-year-old son. So every every weekend or every couple of weekends we do an experience like to go with him and play and we do go away on like little holidays or weekend away or something. Like that's my thing. But in regards of other hobbies, they started decreasing. For example, I used to like to sometimes go and play golf. I used to like to sit down and watch like the Formula One races, which is like every weekend for a couple of hours. And then I used to watch like the commentary after, and that's what I used to do like in my car and everything. And I realized that I started doing it less and doing it less and doing it less because then I felt like injecting all that time into growth for myself and personally and for the business started to become more important. Then I went from watching the full races of Formula One to just watching the ones that were my favorite. And I went to, and then I went to only watching the highlights for 10 minutes of the races. And then I went to watching only the highlights of the races that I liked. And then honestly, there was one day that just I completely cut it off. And now when I have some time off, I'm reading a book on that will give me growth on business
You're
and
motivated.
personally. Yeah, like to keep me motivation. Like that's another thing. One of the things that I learned on this business seminar is that a lot of the times you get some pleasure out of seeing someone else's successes, like the Formula One, the driver that you like. That can happen in sport and everything. They win something and it's like we won and you're like so happy and it's like it's really them doing it. It's not you, you know. You feel like it's part of you and then they lose and you say like they lost. it wasn't me. So you put it as we, you know. So now I really like to focus on getting the pleasure is from an achievement that I that I create. So yeah, definitely those hobbies started decreasing. And now on a weekend, if I there was a day that I could go and play golf, not that I used to do very often, I could go and play golf. That's the day that I prefer to spend with my family. And the other day, I'm probably doing some filming or a project. So that's how you find like that's how I ended up finding my balance. Do you have any hobbies that have started decreasing because of your business and that you're investing the time here?
I definitely have a lot of hobbies that I've lost, but after having kind of let go of them, I've realized that the business was more important than that. So sitting down to watch a TV show slowly became a TV show in the background while I'm on the laptop to just becoming me at a desk on the laptop. And then I could get the work done faster without distractions. And not going out to play golf was one of them. I used to do it every Tuesday with a good friend. Then it became every few weeks, every now and again, to we haven't gone out since probably October last year. So it's no longer a thing we do, which is a shame because I think golf, personally, I found it a really good way to bond, especially with other men, because it's hard to talk to men about our struggles. And golf is just a good way. Once you get a few rounds in, you don't need booze or anything to loosen up. It's a good way to be stuck there in a paddock and you can just talk about the things that are stressing you. And it was good with business as well, but the priority became the business and it was no longer spending 6 hours with a little bit of talk about that to build you on it. It was, I'll call a friend, let's chat about that, let's get straight to the point. And that's 5 minutes done and I can get back to work. So losing hobbies was a big thing. But I think now I'm at the point where there are some things I'd like to be able to pick back up. And this will always be the priority, especially in its youth. But it is important to make time outside of here so that what we're doing in here can still be creative and productive and can lean on experiences outside of the world because that's everything interesting comes from things out there. This won't develop itself without that.
Yeah, no, that's so true about the hobbies. There is another thing that I wanna talk about, and it's in regards of the service that you offer and how important that is for you. There is one thing that I learned when I went to uni, which wasn't that many things because I was always like hangover or pretty much just all my assignments and uni were all like I used to like if there was a book that I had to read, I always try to outsource like someone's already, just trying to do as less as possible and achieving the results because my priority was my social life. So
Yeah.
learning wasn't really a priority, but I did learn some things. I'm not saying that uni was a waste of time because I will never say that an experience a waste of time because you learned a lot from it. And I met a lot of fantastic friends when I was there because of uni. So, but yeah, anyway, one of my marketing teachers, I studied business and marketing, said that marketing was everywhere in the business. He used to say that literally, and he put examples with a restaurant, literally with a restaurant, the the type of plate that you are eating and the napkin that you have and all of those things are marketing. People think about marketing as a, like a very complex like world, almost like why, like he was saying, like it is all those details that are marketing. The chairs, the tables, like all of the things that are involved in a business are marketing. And then for me that I turn that into, it becomes amazing service if you care about all those things. So you're providing great marketing for your business by providing those things. One of the things that I love that you do here is that when someone comes here for a coffee, I feel like you give them the same treatment as someone that's coming here to have lunch and spend more. I feel like you appreciate, uh, even though the obviously the revenue will be less than someone coming for lunch, you appreciate and you provide the same service for someone that's coming for a coffee compared to that someone that's coming for lunch. You always come for a coffee, and I remember you giving the water like every single time I
Yeah.
used to come for a coffee. You always come out like you come out with a cold jug of water and provide water, even though you're just having a coffee. And I know that's effort for you, but it has an amazing value for the customer. And maybe you do that because when you were a customer, you felt like that was amazing and you wanna provide that. But reality is people remember those things. And there is sometimes even subconsciously, like you think like, oh, I love that cafe, like many reasons why. Could be that some of the reasons are those little things. And I think by providing that little bit extra in regards of like the service, it makes such a huge difference. Like, what's your take on providing that service? I know you're very passionate
I'm
about
glad
that.
that sort of stuff's recognized by other people. Um, I think a big part of the way that I want people to feel welcome here is that we will go that extra step, taking them out water and chatting to them and making sure they're comfortable because this is a new place. And a lot of the time going to somewhere new and seeing someone like me can be in some way intimidating. Uh, and I wanted to make sure that everybody's there to be comfortable, to sit and eat like it's their own house. And that's really part of the service we want to offer. As much as it goes beyond working for big business, it was all laid out on a sheet of paper. It was, this is a sequence of service. This is what you do step by step. And this is the interactions you have and the conversations you have. And this is what you can say, what you can't say. We kind of throw that all out the window as much as we still follow that flow, but it's a lot more free. But it really comes down to making people feel comfortable and welcome.
Yeah, I feel like I told you this one time, the first few times about coming here, and I told you that I feel like in business, when you are doing something that there is more people doing it, for in this case, for example, there is a lot of coffee shops offering coffee and food. It's obviously it's
Very
obvious that
common.
that
Yeah.
exists. It's the same. But what makes the cafe different is you, because there is no one like you. What you are for this offering here for this coffee shop compared to other coffee shops, like what you offer as yourself is really what makes you different, because anyone can sell a cup of coffee, but no one's gonna be able to have what you have to offer as yourself. That's one of the things that I think is important. A lot of people, when they are doing things or they're doing business, they start comparing themselves, comparing themselves, comparing themselves. And at one time I heard one marketing expert saying that he runs his business and his company extremely successful business, and that he said, I don't even know who my competition is anymore. I don't care. I'm just so focused on providing my amazing service and our clients and just growing that the competition, I'm to the point where I don't even know who the competition is. He's doing a business with marketing and stuff, and so I don't care. And at first I used to always like compare myself to other people that you see, no, oh, someone else has the same business and oh, this and that, and you start feeling like a little bit less. And then one day I thought I'm gonna stop comparing myself. I actually stopped following a lot of video companies that I used to follow on Instagram and everything. I used to see what they were doing and everything. And one then I thought, because at first I think it's important to get ideas and inspiration from people that have already succeeded in the areas, because you can copy a lot of the things that they're doing. Not copying, I would say it's not copying. It's about
Learning.
getting an idea and then improving it. That's what I say instead of copying. So I focus a lot on the growth of my business without really worrying about the competition. But I feel like what you have to offer here is unique. It provides something because of who you are. I feel like
That's probably the reason why it's unique, is that we are small, so we're afforded the opportunity to be able to be. A lot of it is part of me. Like, I built most of the things that are in here. I built them myself just by teaching myself the skills or things I've learned from other people, which I'm very lucky to have done. A lot of the food is from traveling, experiencing that, and just eating things that I would serve people if they were to come into my home. Given I spend about probably 70 hours a week here, this is kind of my home. So I like to extend beyond just the food and the coffee that we use, to make sure that the service and the conversations that we have are all authentic and are part of us. So that's really what this business is. I don't want the business just to be about me. So I do want it to be a bit of a collaborative experience. So in the future, as we continue to grow, it'll be nice to be able to bring cooks and chefs and people that are passionate about food and about drinks and about coffee, and have their influence on it, and to be able to sit down and have a conversation. We are lucky enough at the moment with some of the community that we've built in the Huntley and Brankston, North Rothbury area, that they've come in and they've been in since the early days or a couple of months in, and they'll make suggestions and we can work with them on that, and we can say, let's put it on the menu, and then we'll dedicate it to them, or we'll just mention it to them and they'll tell their friends about it. It's a great little word of mouth sort of thing. But for them to be involved in the experience, because I think in the early days, I wanted to open this business for me so that I could feel like I'm achieving something, and then I'm going out and doing it. And against all the people that told me that I couldn't do it. But over time, that stopped being important to me. It wasn't about proving people wrong. It became, what can we offer the community, and how can we work with them to make sure we're giving them what they want, but we're also still offering what we have, and still having something that is special to us and to be passionate about.
Yeah, I wish you could have heard the other day. I was um, in the business networking group that I organized, and they started talking about the meltdown, about meltdown Hyundai. They started talking about you, and a couple of people, and including me, because I backed them. They said that the food that you were offering here was something that you haven't tried anywhere else, something that's different. Like one person mentioned it, another person mentioned it, and then I mentioned it. And then there was two people in a group that had only came here for coffee, and by hearing that, they thought, I want to try that food, because like listen to
Yeah.
what people are saying, and because the way that you structure your dishes and the creativity on them and the flavors, when you have a mouthful, it is really something that you've never tried before, because you are creating. I think you get inspiration from dishes. Like when I came to have one of your dishes, you get inspiration, but then you add your own flair on it, because you're working with ingredients that you have available here, and also you wanna also please the what people like here. You wouldn't go crazy and cook this like crazy spicy dish that
Yeah.
maybe it will you have to keep that balance. So it's amazing to hear the creativity that you have. I've heard that when a customer goes to a cafe or any business, really, I should say any business, and has a negative experience, they can deter on average, I think it was between 20 and 25 people that they will deter that business in from you if they have a negative experience. And when someone has a positive experience in a business, they can bring in, I think it was like around 2 to 3 customers
Yeah.
from
Right.
the positive compared to the negative. And I don't know if that's happened to you, but it's happened to me. I personally have done it, and a lot of people do it. When someone has a bad experience, it almost becomes like a mission that you have to tell people about it and share that experience so they don't go through that.
Yeah,
Like,
definitely like warding people off, saying, don't go there.
yeah, oh, that happened to me, and I'm pissed off because that happened to me. And imagine, like I said, I'm not exactly sure about the numbers. Like now, I hear this statistic, but it makes a lot of sense. So, and then when someone has a great experience, you tend to talk about it, but it's not like your mission to just go and tell people randomly. I had this good experience. I had this good experience. I do feel like the fact that you offer this homey service, like I feel like when you come in here, you remember people's coffee orders, even almost after the first time that they come here, you provide like little things like water and everything. And then you can start seeing how those clients start bringing you more business. Like when I came here, I really love your coffee. And then I bring friends and I bring clients. And then I started introducing them to this because I want the people that are close to my circle in business and socially and my family to have these good experiences. When you have a
I think when you find something that you like and you're passionate about, it's good to share it with people. And in some way, I think when you feel that connection, you can take some kind of ownership over the place and say, I'm proud of this place and it's new and I love it and I want you guys to love it too. And then that way you can share it with them.
because it happens with coffee shops. Like you've lived in lots of different cities, obviously without being a business owner, and it does happen that you, for some reason, become loyal to one coffee shop. It becomes
Yeah.
like you maybe sometimes you grab a coffee somewhere else if someone invites you or you go there or something, but you find that connection, and when you go, it's the same people working there, and you enjoy the coffee. They know what milk you want, that you like, they know the size of the coffee you want and everything. It creates that loyalty. I mean, that happens with all other kinds of businesses, but especially with the coffee, you probably have seen that the people that become loyal with you, they
As a
keep coming.
customer, I remember the feeling of when you finally get to that point where a barista will look at you and say, "Did you want your long black?" So they know who I am, and you feel so good about it. So I saw the importance in that, and especially through the influence I had at a cafe in Newcastle, knowing that people feel good when you remember them and they feel cared for. And it boils down to the fact that we do care because everybody that walks through this door is the reason that the doors are open. They pay the bills, and it's as simple as that. But I care about them a lot. So remembering their coffee is just a simple little thing we can do. It also speeds everything up. They don't have to stand there and try and remember. For one example, right? We had an old lady called June or Junie in Newcastle. She was 94 years old and she would hobble down the street every now and again and come into the cafe. She didn't know what coffee she drank. She'd go into the cafe, and if there was someone new working, she didn't know what to do.
Wow.
So she'd say, "Oh, well, they know." And then we'd say, "Oh, June, you want your extra large flat white with 2 sugars?" And it was great to have that connection with her where she could walk into the shop, probably quite distant from everything, and then still feel comfortable walking in there knowing that, these guys know me. We have that connection. So it felt good for us as well.
That's really good. And I remember too, 'cause I worked as a barista for 5 years, and I do remember a group of older ladies that used to come every Wednesday to have a coffee. Same group every Wednesday, and I was always there. I was always their barista. We used to talk with them, know their coffee orders of like 10 ladies, and just know all this because for months and months and years, every every Wednesday it was them.
Yeah.
And you start having a connection that it starts feeling like a friendship, or actually I think it is a friendship that you're having with them. It's an amazing connection, and these ladies used to come in and they used to be so like almost like close with me in the relationship between the coffee and the connection, that they used to ask that I made their coffees, even if I was sometimes in another
They
section.
request you.
They're like, we want some of them, some obviously didn't care as much, but there's a few of them that will be like, no, we want Danny to make our coffee because, you know, I don't know if it was like a specific thing that they felt like was just gonna be maybe not even like the same quality if someone else makes a coffee, but it was just gonna be a coffee coming from me.
Yeah.
And that felt so unique that we had that connection. One of those days, even when I had my son, gave me like a little present for my baby, and like imagine like there was that connection there, and having that with your customers, that connection of that it feels like you agree it feels like a friendship sometimes
Yeah.
with the coffee with the baristas.
I think sometimes it does go beyond that point of just feeling like it. I think it does become a friendship, especially the support that they offer and the conversations you can have. Even getting to see them outside in the real world, down the pub or down the park, in their front yard, watering their lawns. It's cool to go beyond the point of just having a conversation of, hi, how are you? How's your day? What do you want? And actually getting down to it and learning things about them, remembering them, and then caring enough to, down the line, ask them about it. Say, the other day you said you were going to go to this place. How was it? Or how was your holiday to this place? Welcome back. You got back today. And then being able to learn about what they did over there, maybe learn something from it, maybe make a dish out of it, maybe make a coffee dedicated to them and their trip to San Francisco because they loved lavender honey lattes. It's
Yeah.
one thing we did recently. Very interesting.
No, that's really amazing. And just to start wrapping things up, I want to touch on the confidence that you have had to have to create a business. I feel like having confidence in your decisions and what you do, it starts taking you to bigger achievements. Like, how do you feel in regards of you have become a more confident person as yourself? Because and you told me about your experience, but for me, when I started doing photos and videos, it took me a long time, probably almost like a year, to refer myself as a professional photographer
Mm.
because I always felt like that wasn't me, that wasn't a professional photographer, even though I was already getting paid to do it professionally. I always felt like because I didn't formally study photography, I always felt like I wasn't a professional photographer, or maybe because my equipment wasn't as good as someone that's been in the industry for a long time. I never called myself. People kept on saying, I almost was like, no, no, I'm not. I'm not. Until one time I was hearing someone about talking about confidence, how important it is, and I one day felt that confidence, and I started referring myself as I am a professional photographer, and you feel like almost like empowered, like you almost like something else took over control of your body, and suddenly it's like I'm the professional photographer. Like now it's not like away from me and it's only for those people. Now it's me. Like then you feel like that sometimes you feel like something comes into you and suddenly you're like, well, I'm the business owner. I'm the boss. Like
There's
how
definitely some of those days where you feel a real boost. If things are going well, everything's humming along, there's been no problems, everyone's really positive, they're grateful for the food and they're complimentary. It's really good. But there are, bad days. There's definitely the days where you lose all confidence. I definitely have those days where I wake up and I think, our menu is so uninspired. We've been running at the start, for example, I was trying to change the menu every 3 days. Say that dish has been around for too long. Let's change that. That smoothie's been there all week, so we need to get a new one. And I just wasn't confident in anything, and we couldn't get comfortable with cooking anything. But I definitely have the days where I don't believe in myself, and I have the days where I believe a lot. But I think surrounding yourself with good people, with friends, with customers, with loved ones, I think it's definitely important to be reminded. And it's not that you're dependent on them, but I think it's important to have those people around you to support you and the ones that believe in you and love you enough to be honest with you. think it's great. I couldn't. I don't think I could walk through this door every day without those people.
That's amazing that you have that. But talking about that confidence, for the things that I've learned in regards business and successful people, because I read books from people that are successful in business and write books, and I've been reading a lot of those books and even going to the business seminar, all these people successful in business, and there is one common denominator amongst many things that successful people have, and I read that in in some books that people refer to that back again, and it is that successful people are fantastic at making decisions. They are good, not good, amazing at making decisions. Successful people, and it's not like they make always the right decision, but it is the fact that they make the decision and then they stick by it. And the thing by doing that is that having that debate in your head, if you just did the right decision after you make it, that clash, like that stresses you out and makes you anxious, like which have happened to me a lot, especially in business and in life. And these people, like that are successful, they make a decision, they stick by it. And what happens if they made the wrong decision? Because they are all in, confident on that decision that they made. If it was the wrong one, then they know that the decision was wrong very, very quickly because they stop going back and forth on everything. And then they go to back to the other decision. They learn that it was the right one straight away. And I think for people in business and in life, I have adopted that a lot into my life, just even with little decisions like, oh, what ice cream should I buy? And I'm making the decision because, oh, there's two new flavors, which one should I buy? And it just honestly, it feels great. And for anyone right now listening, I encourage themselves to test that out even with little things and just confidently just go into the fridge and open the door and grab one of them and be like, I'm buying this one, and just go away. It feels really, really great to make those little decisions and applying it to other areas. There was this story that I heard of um, like in the army. I read it in a book, and there was this two plans that of attack on like some sort of war or something, to decide. They have option one and option two, and they had this room of people that had been preparing those plans for days and days, and there was all this data and everything, and then suddenly the commander or the boss in the army comes in, and he had to make the decision between plan number one and plan number two. And he comes in, they have all, you want to see all the data, and he just came in and he said, we are going to go with this one, like for example plan two. Okay, that's it. And then everyone left, and then his second in charge was like, how the hell did you make that decision so quickly? We have been working on this for days. There is data like that much on this plan and this plan. How do you know? And he said, to be perfectly honest, I don't know why I selected that, but I just went with that one with that confidence of boom, like I'm the commander here, I'm the boss, I'm gonna make this decision. Because he said, if it's not the right one, we're gonna find out, and then we do the other one. But that decision, and it was like so impressive that someone was thinking like, why didn't you analyze all this data to take that decision? And I think sometimes when you're in business, there's so many little decisions, and growing that confidence on knowing that you make the decision and you stick by it is really important. And you probably found with your menus and your dishes, maybe you had sometimes some or you tell me if I'm wrong, but maybe some self-doubt if there was this dish and people were gonna like it and everything. And now maybe after some time and months, maybe you feel like, well, I'm gonna put it out there and be confident on that dish and put it out there, and then you probably get unexpected results in regards of maybe people love it, and then why were you doubting yourself? Do you find that with your
I have found that with a lot of the dishes. We've been really surprised by the results of popularity in amongst some of the food. I think one of our most popular dishes is a Turkish dish. It's like poached eggs on a bed of comfy garlic and labneh, which was very surprising to have that, especially in this area. And with the influence that they've had already from other businesses, it doesn't seem like something that would be popular. There was doubt, absolutely. That thing started as a special. A lot of our stuff starts with doubt, I think. I'm not one of those people that makes a big decision and says this is the right one. I think I kind of flirt with it, see what happens, and then I can commit afterwards if other people enjoy it. But there's a few things that we probably could execute that way of living on and just make the decision. People would probably be a little more patient with me if I did that and say, maybe I should try it.
Maybe you say, I must try, I must.
I must try it.
I
Not
just
maybe.
I just feel like honestly in this topic I'm really passionate about this topic of the confidence because just people that are confident, when someone walks in a room is a confident person without them even opening their mouth, you can tell.
The lineage.
You can tell. Yeah. I walk in a room and I walk in like this. Like you can tell straight away, like I'm not saying only because it's myself, but if it was someone else, like you can tell that that person is confident by walking in and their body language and everything. And when you meet people that have that confidence, like for example, if it's like a group of people and they're like deciding what to do, oh, what there's something this happened and what should we do? And it's in any type of situation, what should we do? And oh, maybe we should do this, maybe we should do this, maybe we should do this. And someone just walks in and opens the door and he says, I'll handle it. Give it to me. It's like, whoa, that level of having that, I'll handle it. It's like, whoa, and I think that it's amazing that you're saying like, because I love sharing things that I know with people, and I think that topic of confidence for everyone that's listening right now, it has really changed my life, and even in little things, it has been super impactful in my personal life and my professional life. And I feel like sometimes if you create a new dish to coming to someone and having that confidence that it is an outstanding dish, a phenomenal dish, and you come in and say like, you have to try this dish because it is absolutely beautiful. When someone tells me that as a customer and I see that confidence in you, even without trying the dish, I already have something going on in my taste buds and in my head, and that's going to be represented on when I'm trying it because of that. In my head, I'm like going, well, it's fantastic, it's fantastic. So that will definitely give the person that confidence, they believe it, so then it applies to them. So it's just a great point. But yeah, no, it's been fantastic to chat with you.
Yeah,
Thank you
it's been
very
fun.
much.
Thanks so much for having me.
I really know that a lot of people are gonna be inspired by the things that we share today, your story and mine. And if anyone lives around the Hunter Valley area, Newcastle area in New South Wales in Australia, or even traveling past, they must come here and visit and have a coffee, have something to eat, or even just pop in and say hi and have a chat. I know that you're always happy to do that.
Always down for a chat. Yeah. We should probably add some extra staff members so we can cater for all these people that come in just for a chat now. But I'm sure once they smell the coffee and the food, they won't be able to resist but have a table. I'm really looking forward to the next, the last 6 months has been great, really stressful, but super rewarding. And I really look forward to the next however long we're in business for, so we can continue to do what we do and change and adjust to the times and give a different offering. It's going to be really good. I look forward to getting new faces through the door and familiar faces. It's going to be good.
Yeah, it is like you said. It is extremely challenging. Like, but if you one last question I want to ask you, like, if you could say one thing that is one of the things that you're the most proud of that you have achieved in your life, what could it be that you can think of just straight off the bat like that?
It'll be jumping in, like believing in myself enough to make the decision, to have the confidence to say that I'm the right person, this is the right time, and this is the right decision to make. So let's just do it. Believe in myself. Like you said before, there is no plan B. There's no room for failure. So let's just put everything into it, see what happens, and hope for the best.
Yeah, I really like that because when I ask that question to a lot of people, I love asking that question, and every single time that someone answers that question, what is the like the number one thing that they're the most proud of they have achieved in their lives? It is always one of the most challenging things that they have done in their life.
Cliche.
It is never an easy thing. It is never like, what's the thing that you're the most proud of when you say like, oh, the car that my dad bought me or something like that. Every single time people say that has been the most challenging. And the reason for that is because the most challenging things that cost us the hardest, that we were like the toughest mountains that we climbed, with the more spiky rocks and the ones that we just have to go through and climb them, and then going through those mountains are the ones that make you feel proud. But no, I wish you all the best in your journey, and we will continue to support you. And
And to chat across the coffee machine on the odd coffee when you pop through.
sounds amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.